Ready?
Yep, ready when you are.
Okay, I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Let's start out with a roll call, please.
That's me today. Raquel is out ill. So Director Brown.
Present.
Director Mraz.
Present.
Director Leach.
So I'm here.
Director Jeffrey.
Present.
Director Stanisek.
Here.
Look, I know where everybody is.
Double time. All right, let's do the pledge. Ready, begin.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Seeing none?
Director Brown.
Aye.
Director Mraz.
Aye.
Director Leach.
Aye.
Director Jeffries.
Aye.
Director Stanisek.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Do we have any public comments?
We actually have public, so. We're admitting one more public into Zoom room. I did not receive any other emails, so unless anyone from the public, either Zoom or present, we have no public comments.
Okay, if you guys decide that you have a comment on an agenda item, just let us know and we'll get you some time to go ahead and comment on that. Consent items. Would anybody like to pull any of the consent items? No? Can I have,
I have a question on D9.
absolutely.
Should I pull it and
Yeah,
then?
let's pull that one and
Okay.
we'll look at it after.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
For the grant policy?
No, I'm sorry. That's for Saturday. My comments are for Saturday.
So you have nothing to pull?
I have nothing to pull.
Okay.
Any comments? I just have a quick comment, on the, finance report. I just wanted to note, how, I noticed that we had made $20,000 off of switching to the class plan. So I just, wanted to just, highlight that and, solid move, finance committee. It's nice to see, some positive, gains just from switching accounts. So, way to capitalize on that.
I did have a couple of small items with regard to the finance committee, if you want those at this point in time. They're not big deal items, but.
Let's just, we'll pull that one and just approve the rest and then we'll take your comments.
Perfect.
Can I have a motion to approve the rest?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
No discussion?
All right. So the motion is to approve all of the consent items except for D4, which we will pull for discussion.
Correct.
All right. So Director Brown,
Aye.
Director Mraz.
Aye.
Director Lee,
Aye.
Director Jeffrey.
Aye.
Director Stanisek.
Director Brown?
Yeah, fair enough. When we, met last week, was several things that we had a discussion on, and we were certainly okay with, the numbers as they were. We had talked about, with regard to budgeting on the health and wellness center, that we needed to allocate or impugn a portion of our revenue to the wellness center. So when we do financial statements at this point in time, you have a big negative variance of a net loss because you have no revenue essentially budgeted for it, but all expenses. So we need to come up with some methodology that attributes some portion of our overall revenue to the health and wellness center, which makes sense. I don't have that number in mind, but that's something we'll need to come up with, I think, certainly before budget time. Again, yes.
Would you recommend that be on an annual basis or biannual or quarterly?
No, I would envision that when we do our budgeting for this next fiscal period, that we just decide on an amount that makes sense for the Health and Wellness Center and plug that in as a revenue number. And then if there are variances as far as a net income loss on it, for example, it'll be something that makes sense to us. It'll have meaning to us.
Fair enough. I think that makes a lot of sense, for sure.
Certainly it justifies our existence in having the health and wellness center as a district. So.
Any other comments?
I just want to thank the treasurer and Rachel for really looking at this and bringing new detail to our financial report. I think it's very healthy and an evolution over what we've done over time. So I think it's very well done.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think that you guys committee is doing an excellent job of having good foresight and kind of looking at things on a long-term strategic perspective.
And the last thing we have on the agenda already is E1, so we'll get to that when we get to it. That's all I have.
So I believe we still need to make a motion to approve the reports post-discussion.
Fair enough.
Would you like to make that?
I'll make that motion that we approve it, yes.
Okay,
I'll second
Any discussion?
Dr. Brown,
Aye.
Director Ross,
Aye.
Director Leach.
Aye.
Director Jeffrey.
it. Aye.
Director Stanisek. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to discussion items. Just as Director Brown mentioned, we have E1. It's a recommendation from the Finance Committee for $25,000 to fund the foundation bank account. Director Brown?
Essentially, since we do have the foundation that's a living entity at this point in time, the discussion is to set up a bank account for it, and the question is how much should go into it as far as seed money initially. And our executive director was kind enough to do some work on that. So you want to talk about what you got?
Sure. Just as context background, we had talked about taking that account and putting it at 5 Star, which is where the supplemental account to our operations already exists. So we called them to find out what kind of account. As we know, our interest rates are pretty good right now. It would be nice to make sure that that account, if it's going to be sitting there holding some funds, has appropriate funds to make some money. Their recommendation and requirement is that a $25,000 allows that to, it's about a 2.5% yield on that account. So it would generate funds while it is beginning to mature, if you will. So hence, that was the reason we identified a $25,000 seed to fund the opening of that account.
Is it a liquid account? You can pull it out?
Absolutely, yeah.
Seems like that makes sense. Any comments? Yeah.
Would that be on an annual basis or?
No, this is just to open the account. When we do next year's budgeting, the foundation will have its own separate budget to go with that. It would just, that would be the opening balance, if you would.
Okay. Thank you.
Obviously, we don't anticipate a lot of activity
Yeah.
in that account. Anytime in the initial kind of startup year or so of it. But that allows the fund to be open, allows it to be usable, but allows the money to grow.
And I assume if we set up a full set of financials on the foundation,
Absolutely,
which would include a balance sheet,
of course.
I would presume that it would show a liability of $25,000 owed back to the district to be paid back at our direction.
It could, I think we would have to, well, I'm
Otherwise-
looking towards the accountant, but we would have a separate,
Otherwise, it's gonna be considered revenue to the district, because or to the foundation, because we're giving it some money and we're not making a donation to it. We're just funding it for, with the expectation of it still belonging to the district.
okay, yeah.
I'm not just, we can talk about
Yeah.
that right up front, because we're just getting started here,
Right.
so.
Gotcha.
Right,
Can we maybe get Jeff, can you kind of weigh in on the regulations on something like this? As far as the money transfer?
Jeff, you're muted still.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I think I don't think it's a problem. I think what's being proposed is appropriate. I think you're fine.
Okay. is there any, required steps that are needed to take place, or we're good just doing it as Director Brown, alluded to?
Yeah, I think that's appropriate. I think you can do it that way. I don't see any issues.
Awesome. Any other questions, comments? Director Brown, would you like to make that motion?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make the motion that, the district fund an initial $25,000 to set up an account for the foundation, at 5-star,
Within a time frame of,
within the next 30, before the next meeting.
Second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Any discussion?
I like the idea of the additional counting of it, though, the balancing of it. I think that is important.
Yeah.
Keep that straight, absolutely.
My only comment is I appreciate the legwork that you did out there as far as figuring that out, and the finance committee setting us up to fund this entity that we've been kind of working on. So I'll be excited to kind of see the future for the foundation and kind of where we take it, but good deal. Thank you.
All right, Director Brown,
Aye.
Director Morad,
aye,
Director Leach,
All right.
Director Jeffries.
Aye.
Director Stennison. Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have E2. This is the Site Logic contract that we've been discussing here over the past several months. Rachel, do you have anything on that, or can you bring up the contract on the screen so everybody can take a look?
I think what I have here is the draft. Let me bring up the final. I spoke with, actually, we sent the contract over to Jeff, and he went through it. We sent it back to Site Logic. They came back with a couple of small things, went back to Jeff. We've made those changes, and that was the copy of the agreement that you got on the final. Sorry, I keep a lot of files. There we go. So that's the master agreement with today's date. It's 71 pages, so if you have any specific direction you want to take it, let me know.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I just had a couple of comments. I think overall it's a fair contract. One of the difference between a lot of the contracts we enter into as public agencies are design build bid or design bid build contracts, and this is really a design bid contract, which shifts a lot of the risk of overages on the contractor, in this case, Site Logic. So I think that's fair. I did have a question. Somewhere in here I read, and I was trying to locate it as we were sitting here, but there was a potential of maybe having a state inspector involved in this project. Is that something that because we have the responsibility to pay for that. So my question is, if we do have a state inspector, what's the anticipated cost of that?
Josh, do you want to add anything to that?
And I would be more than happy to double check get that, but I think that's language in there for education, because under DSA, the design state architect, which won't fall under special districts, cities or counties. So
Okay, yeah, I mean, I know that healthcare districts, when we do improvements to hospitals, we're subject to the state architect stuff and state inspectors. And so I want to make sure that, I saw that in there, and I understand it probably doesn't apply to us, but I at least wanted to ask the question, because if there's an added expense, we should anticipate that. So I think you've addressed my question. I don't think it applies.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay.
Do we have?
Yeah, overall, I think it's great. We want to make sure, the other comments I had is, we want to make sure that the sureties and insurance companies have a very good best rating, so that we have solid insurance and sureties for the bonds, to make sure that if anything comes up, that the district's well protected. And as long as they're amenable to that, and that we have the opportunity to review the bonds and insurance documents before we issue a notice to proceed, then I'm okay with proceeding with this and recommending approval to the board.
Great,
Ready?
thanks, Jeff. Just one,
Yeah, go ahead.
real quick, do we have any public comments on this agenda item before we get into deliberation? Anything online? See a couple people on there. No, okay, Mike?
No, just a question. I don't have any real history on this type of contract. It seems a little front-loaded from a payment schedule perspective. Is that pretty typical? The way the payments are going out, the scheduling of it? It's kind of a lot of heavy weight toward the front end, which I get for materials and our labor, but the back end of it seems a little lighter, and I'm just sure about the checks and balances that's appropriate for this type of work. And the second element for me, as I went through it, was, there's a ton of detail on the solar side and the metals, but the parking lot itself, there was no detail. So are we gonna,
You too, huh?
we're gonna get gravel or asphalt or gold,
No.
you know, I'm just kidding.
It is, actually, Director Brown and I had this conversation prior. And while the detail is not specific, it does call out asphalt. It is in the scope of work on page 60 or something like that.
60, and the solar scope of work, section D, Q, and R.
Right.
I'm just thinking that was.
Well, there's a lot of denseness.
I was looking for it.
Yeah,
That's why we have 10 people reading it.
right.
Well, I didn't see it either, but I'm certainly, we'll go back and look, but I'm okay with Rachel's, with the director's reference to it. I was looking for 4 inches
Yeah.
at least on the asphalt.
And that was the verbal confirmation I had from Jonathan with SiteLogic in one of our earlier conversations. Josh, do you have any?
He had
Statements.
more of the specifications
Yeah.
in his brain when we were in that conversation.
But
That is your requirement and we're gonna meet it or exceed it. So I wrote it down and you want 4 inches, we're gonna give you at least 4 inches.
yeah, and I actually have that conversation documented via email. Which reminds me, yeah.
Because simply, if we know the square footage that's gonna be, worked on and how many inches are gonna be involved, we'll know that we can look for an invoice of so many cubic feet of asphalt. Well, I was just suggesting to the executive director that I've had paving projects done before, and they quoted 3 and gave us 2. So I want to make sure that we want this parking lot to last a long time. That's certainly what we're all looking for here. It did start out as a parking project to begin with.
Yeah.
So
And it's still a parking lot project.
that's all we're looking for. And we just didn't see a reference right up front.
I was looking for the, kind of the punch list, if you will, the details.
I was looking for the scope of work, and
Yeah.
it talked a lot about the solar, but I didn't see anything in there on the
Yeah,
parking.
same here.
My question to you, Rachel, is, and to our legal counsel, are you comfortable with the language in there that addresses remedies, resolution, and if there's a breach?
If any dispute or.
Disputes, yeah.
I was comfortable with
Yeah.
it, Jeff and I. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's fine, Barbara. I think that it's better and less expensive to have a dispute resolution process to get that done as opposed to just litigating everything. So I think that it's certainly, I think it's a fair process, and if we do have some disputes, I think it's a easy way to resolve them. And as far as the progress payment schedule, I think it's pretty reasonable. I mean, they get 10% on the notice to proceed, at 25% for equipment deposit. The progress payments will be as they progress through is 50% of the payments, but that's not going to be in a lump sum. That'll be as they progress through the process, and they won't be able to get the 10% substantial completion payment until we're all in agreement that that's occurred. So I think overall, that's why I think we need to have good insurance and bond sureties, that as long as we have those things in place, I think we're well protected.
And that's all fairly well outlined throughout the contract, so. That's why it's so long.
Absolutely.
It was enjoyable. reading.
Lots of stuff.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it was.
Director Jeffries?
Yes, thank you. I was pleased to see all the exhibits because there's lots of yummy things in the exhibits. And I noticed, just to verify, we had a conversation about this at the last board meeting, page 46. We have the hard $1.3 million spelled out as the payment. I did have a question. It just flew out of my head. Give me a minute here. It's embarrassing.
Happens to me all the time.
Sitting next to Mike.
I think.
This is not the way.
Thank you very much. And I may have missed it. I did see the list of things. If these things, kinds of things happen, it'll be a delay. And I appreciated all the detail on that because we all know, but I didn't see an estimated time of completion. Is it
52
in?
weeks
52 weeks. Thank you very much.
from the date that we saw, give them
Thank
The
you.
letter.
I was looking for days. I should have looked for double digits.
If you don't mind, I'd love to make one comment onto
Yeah.
that. You're gonna see it built. One of the biggest holdups, which isn't in our complete control, is gonna be the utility. And it's getting the utility to do their verification and their sign offs and their inspections, which was all included. That's not what he was talking about earlier. But in Edison, with local government, 3 to 7 months, and that waiting period, just to get them to be able to, they call it PTO, be able to turn the system, the switch over, so now you're generating. So that is gonna be the biggest complaint I'm gonna hear, which I'm fine, that's why I wanna bring it now, and we're gonna keep doing all our power pushing that utility to get out here. SDG&E has been a little better than Edison, so, we're gonna cross.
That's
our
unheard
fingers.
of.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
So wanted to be full disclosure on that since you did bring that up.
Thank you.
That's good. Any other questions? Okay, can I have a motion?
I move approval.
Second? Okay, any discussion?
For the parking lot, practically, with solar.
With extra outlets.
With 52 weeks.
Yeah.
It
is what
4
it
inches.
is.
I don't want inches. All right, Director Brown,
Aye.
Director Mraz,
Go ahead.
Okay. Yes.
Director Leach,
Aye.
Director Jeffries.
Aye.
Director Stanisek.
Aye.
Thank you. Pins and needles.
Deep breath there, huh? Awesome. Last thing we have here, board member comments and items for subsequent meetings. Any comments, directors? No? I'll just make a quick comment, just about the, last item. I think that, everybody's put in a lot of work, a lot of, meetings, and I'm sure that staff has done a lot of research about, what we're gonna do over there and, the wellness center and facility as a whole. I mean, it's definitely been a long go. So I just want to appreciate everybody's, time and effort and, really excited to move forward with kind of getting some of that infrastructure over there for you guys and hopefully, take it to the next level. So I'm really proud of our staff and the things that we're doing over there. So, thanks to everybody and excited to kind of have these 52 weeks tick by. So,
I already put a date in my calendar.
I'm hoping before next Christmas.
Yeah, there we go.
No, I appreciate the opportunity to go down the journey with you guys to see the enhancements that will be done within the district. So thank you.
Awesome. And thank you as well for coming out and answering all of our questions. I think you guys have done a great job and really professional as far as addressing all of our concerns. We're definitely, I would say, doing our due diligence about spending any money and especially something that's such a elaborate project. So, I appreciate that. So thank you very much. We have some upcoming events. It's right here on the agenda. Big one coming up this Saturday. We have our strategic planning workshop. So excited to get in and talk to everybody and kind of hash out some ideas and, you know, see where we're at, and hopefully we can get, some good progress on a plan. So, looking forward to that.
And I'll send out that email, with that agenda, tomorrow. I didn't want to post it today and have it get confused with this meeting. So you'll find that, posting tomorrow.
Thank you. Appreciate that. With that, we'll go ahead and adjourn.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure you
No.
hold our hands all the way through this.
I'm going
You
to.
cannot promote until after it's done.
Oh,